You're listening to The Dave Smith Show on SB Nation Radio.
And on SBNationRadio.com.
Presented by Quicken Loans. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Dave Smith.
Canelo Alvarez unanimous decision over Danny Jacobs last night at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, unifying, well, except all for one belt. But, you know, who can keep track these days? He's got 3 of them now. And I read last night he's the first Mexican fighter to have 3 championship belts in the same weight class. That's hard to believe, looking at the great Mexican fighters over the years, all the great world champions they've had. But now what's next? Is it going to be Triple G in a third fight? Is it going to be somebody else? Triple G at 39 years old coming up. Are we excited to see a third go-round with these two? And who knows, maybe does Canelo move up and weight a little bit? We'll see. He moved up to 168 when he fought that bum Rocky Fielding a couple of months ago, and evidently passed all his drug tests this time as well. And Danny Jacobs gamed the system again by being overweight on the next day hydration weigh-in. So we got lots to talk about here in the world of boxing. So let's get out to the Progressive Insurance Hotline, brought to you by Progressive Home Insurance. Get your quote at Progressive.com today. You all see him on his YouTube channel, Montero on Boxing, and the proud owner of a brand new palatial estate in Atlanta, Georgia. It's the great Mike Montero. What's up, Mike?
Hey, what's up, Dave? It doesn't look like a palatial estate right now. It looks like a construction zone, but it's going to be great once we get it finished.
It's funny. I spoke with you on the phone yesterday, and you were talking about, oh, my God, we sold our place in L.A., and we're making money, and we bought a place that a 4,000-square-foot home in Atlanta that's actually cheaper. And I told you, before you get too excited, your fiancée is going to confiscate every dime of that money. You'll never see a penny of it.
Oh, yeah. She's taking it and decorating the house. You know, we got to fill up this 4,000 square feet. So, yeah. She's in charge of the money. It is what it is.
And no matter what the decorating of the house costs, she'll make sure it's every penny that you made on that first one.
Yeah, exactly. She has expensive taste, you know.
Well, you're a lucky man. The great Mike Montero joining Dave Smith here at SB Nation Radio and SBNationRadio.com. I thought going in that Danny Jacobs was going to have a very, very difficult time winning a decision in Las Vegas against an Oscar De La Hoya fighter, but by all accounts, this was a fair decision last night, and I haven't seen anybody yet who had Jacobs winning.
Well, believe it or not, Dave, I have seen some people on the fringes of Twitter who had Jacobs winning. But, Twitter, you're always going to find that. But, yeah, the scores were perfect last night. I think 2 judges had it 115, 113. One judge had a 116, 112. That's the score I had. I thought Canelo won 8 rounds of this fight. It was tactical. It was technical. It was more of a boxing match more so than a brawl, and that's what gave Jacobs the best chance to win. But at no point, did he really step on the gas and go for broke. It was kind of one punch at a time, and you just can't do that against Canelo Alvarez. Like you mentioned, if you're going to fight him in Las Vegas, you got to put the pedal to the metal. You have to decisively win rounds. And Jacobs just did not do that. He did just enough to competitively lose.
And he fought better late, and he stung Canelo. I think it was the 9th round with a nice left hook. And you think he just waited too long? As you said, maybe not fighting to win, fighting more to survive in the first half of the fight.
That's what it looked like. The fight started very slowly, and Jacobs kept switching to southpaw, and it was not working for him. All the success he had was from the orthodox stance. You mentioned that left hook. I believe that was from the orthodox stance. And I don't know why he kept doing that. He seems to just have these lulls in fights where he kind of falls asleep for large portions of a round. And in those moments, those lulls, that's when Canelo kind of pushed the pace, and he set the pace for the fight. And that's why he won. He just did the more consistent work throughout. And it's just what we've seen from Jacobs. He's a very, very good fighter. He's an A-level fighter. But against pound-for-pound greatness like Canelo, like Gennady Golovkin, he's just always going to fall a little short.
No, I thought Triple G won both of the fights against Canelo Alvarez. I'm not going to say they were robberies. They're competitive fights, and Canelo fought well, but I thought certainly Triple G won both of them. So are we going to get a third one now? They're both with DAZN. Triple G was ringside last night. It seems like a natural maybe in September that these guys do it again.
Yeah, and, actually, I thought the first fight was a robbery. You remember I was at the post-fight press conference after that first fight. Reem and Bob Bennett from the Nevada State Athletic Commission in that terrible judge, Adelaide Berg, who turned in one of the worst scorecards in probably the last decade. But, they have to do it a third time, Dave, because there's no bigger fight right now in boxing. I mean, right now, people are talking about Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder. That's still brewing. That's still building. I think that's coming next year. And then we have Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford that just wrote a piece in Ring Magazine, the new issue that's just out in stores, about the potential of that fight coming up down the road. But that's still brewing. The biggest fight right now commercially that can be made in boxing in any weight class is the third fight between Canelo and Golovkin, and that's why we're going to get it. And we're going to get it in September, I think, around Mexican Independence Day.
The complaint I get from boxing fans all the time, and my biggest complaint, Mike, is we're in a golden age right now. We have so many good young fighters. You look at 35. We got young Teofimo Lopez knocking everybody out. Lomachenko's there. And then a few pounds heavier, one of the great young fighters in the world, and Regis Prograis, Rougarou, who was so impressive to me. And then Crawford and Spence. But these guys, the business people on the business end, they won't go across the street and do business with each other. That's the biggest complaint boxing fans have, is we've got all these great fighters out there. We're in a golden era, and we don't get the fights we want to see.
Yeah, unfortunately, right now it's good because there's boxing on different platforms. You have boxing on ESPN, Fox, Showtime, of course, DAZN. They have made a huge investment in boxing, over $1 billion. So there's boxing all over the place. But when you have so many platforms, these promoters, they can get attached to a platform and they can kind of keep their fighters there. And they try to milk the big fights up for years and years. And sometimes that works. Sometimes it doesn't. For the Canelo Golovkin series, and we're going to get the third fight, that worked. I think that the first two fights were great. I think the next fight will be great because it happened at the right time. But you look at Mayweather-Pacquiao, that was horrible. That was the dud of the century, and the folks in boxing have to learn from that, and they can't make that same mistake because, it's getting more and more streamlined because there's so many different platforms, and the pay-per-view model, it's not working like it used to because we're in the age of streaming, and more and more fans are saying, you know what, I'm not paying the $80 for this pay-per-view if you don't give me what I want. I'm just going to stream it for free. So in the end, I do think the big fight will happen, but, you mentioned Regis Prograis. He's in that World Boxing Super Series tournament. That is one of the best things going in boxing right now. They have a tournament. They're in season 2. They have 3 different divisions. All of the tournaments are loaded. And the 140-pound tournament that Prograis is going to be in the finale, that finale, he's probably going to fight Josh Taylor, a fighter out of the UK. He's got a tough fight coming up, but he should win. I'm telling you right now, Regis Prograis or Josh Taylor, that's probably going to be the fight of the year.
Wow. Mike Montero on boxing, and also a writer for Ring Magazine, joining Dave Smith here at SB Nation Radio and SBNationRadio.com. How about, I was thinking about Floyd Mayweather last night and his fight against Canelo Alvarez, where he pretty much shut him out. Now, I know one judge scored it a draw, which was outrageous. Floyd, you can make a case he won every round in that fight. You think maybe this might bring him back if Canelo can get back down to 54? Now, there's a mega fight right there. As easily as Floyd handled him the first time, you think that fight could be made and this could bring Floyd back?
Nah, I hate to say, I don't see that happening at all, Dave. Floyd was the best matchmaker in modern boxing history. He fought guys when he needed to fight them, when he had all the advantages. And he plucked Canelo, who was very young. I want to say 22, 23 at the time, still green. He had experience. He had fought some good fighters, but he was nowhere near the level of fighter he is right now. His team, his trainers, the Reynosos, they have done an outstanding job with him. He truly is one of the top 5 pound-for-pound fighters in boxing right now. He might be the best middleweight right now. I mean, Gennady Golovkin has something to say about that, sure, but he might be the best right now. And he's light years better than the guy Floyd fought. And I think Floyd knows that. That's why he fought him then as opposed to now. I don't think Floyd would go anywhere near this version of Canelo Alvarez. I'm going to go ahead on record and say it. People might think I'm crazy. This version of Canelo Alvarez dominates Floyd Mayweather.
How about the third fight with Triple G? As we both thought Triple G won their first 2 fights, but he's going to be 39 now. Is he maybe a little too far gone now and Canelo gets him this third time, or do you still like Triple G in the third fight?
Well, Triple G is coming off a layoff. He has a fight coming up against Steve Rolls, who is a very unknown fighter, but he's an undefeated fighter. I think he's 19-0, untested, unproven, but Golovkin should get past that. But, he has a new trainer. He just split with Abel Sanchez. So he's now working with Jonathan Banks, who isn't really known as an elite-level trainer. He's not up there with some of the top guys, like a Robert Garcia or an Anatoly Lomachenko, someone like that. So it remains to be seen. If Golovkin comes back and wins this third fight with Canelo Alvarez, he'll look like a genius for splitting with Abel Sanchez and making changes on his team. If he struggles and he loses in more dominant fashion than he did in the second fight, he might not look like a genius. Well, you did mention his age. He is getting up there in age, and that matters in boxing.
He and Abel were such a great team and did so many good things together. Was that all over money? I mean, what caused the split between these two?
It was, from everything I can gather, it was over money. And Gennady made a flat fee offer. Generally speaking, trainers get 10% of a fighter's purse. And I've heard that the deal Gennady and Abel made up front gave Abel Sanchez 15%. Now, I haven't been able to, confirm that, but that's what I've heard. So Abel Sanchez did very, very well in Gennady's last few fights. The Canelo Alvarez fights made Gennady tens of millions of dollars. So collectively, Abel Sanchez and Tom Loeffler and the whole team, they did well off those fights. But after that, Golovkin just signed this big $100 million contract with DAZN, and he wanted to do some restructuring. He's getting more and more into the promotional side of things. He wants to reallocate more money that he was spending on his team and on promoting to actually picking up some fighters from Kazakhstan and that part of the world that he could start building up with Triple G Promotions, which part of his deal with DAZN is to have some of those fighters eventually featured on DAZN on cards that Gennady will promote. So he made a flat fee offer to Abel Sanchez. Apparently, Abel counter-offered, and Gennady said no, and that was that. So it really was over money, which is kind of sad.
Now that he's with DAZN, Eddie Hearn and Matchroom Boxing, financing and deeply involved with DAZN, is he going to stay with Tom Loeffler as his promoter?
Yes. Tom Loeffler is still I believe it's the managing director is his title of Triple G Promotion. So Tom Loeffler, and there was a restructuring there with the deal that Gennady had with Tom Loeffler. And Gennady's, changing some of the financials between the two of them. But Tom Loeffler agreed to those terms, and they are still working together. So Tom Loeffler and Gennady Golovkin will work together for the rest of Triple G's career.
Tell us about Andy Ruiz Jr., who's replacing Big Baby Miller, who tested positive 3 times for PEDs and was had that title fight taken away from Anthony Joshua. Now it's going to be Andy Ruiz Jr. against Anthony Joshua for the heavyweight championship coming up at Madison Square Garden June 1st. Now, Ruiz doesn't look like a bodybuilder or a PED guy, but he can fight a little bit despite the bad body.
Ruiz has very, very good hand speed. He fights very relaxed. He's one of those guys, a little bit of James Toney in him. Of course, I'm not making a comparison skill-wise, but just in the way he's very relaxed in how he fights. He seems very relaxed and comfortable in the ring. Very fast hands, but definitely not a body beautiful. He comes into the ring in the mid-260s, and he probably should be in the mid-220s. So he kind of looks like a blown-up cruiserweight, and I just don't know if he has the power and strength to keep AJ off of him. It'll be interesting to see, though, because this is, for Anthony Joshua's first fight in America. It's a lot of pressure. He's fighting in New York at MSG, a historic venue. That's a lot of pressure. And then he's got a last-second replacement in Andy Ruiz. That's a whole different type of preparation. So, I think Andy Ruiz is a live dog here. I think it's going to be a very interesting fight. And I'm curious to see how AJ handles Ruiz's hand speed. But, Dave, we already have our winner for Moron of the Year 2019. That is Jarrell Big Baby Miller. Not you. You're runner-up. No, I'm just joking.
Well,
Jarrell Big Baby Miller screwed up a $5 million fight by taking not 1, not 2, but 3 banned substances. This guy was making cocktails with steroids and screwed himself out of $5 million. He is clearly the Moron of the Year in 2019.
Well, I'm glad I didn't get it for once. All right, great stuff, Mike. We'll talk to you down the road again.
All right, thanks a lot, Dave.
There he goes. Montero on Boxing is the YouTube channel. A columnist for Ring Magazine as well on the Progressive Insurance Hotline, brought to you by Progressive's Home Insurance. Get your quote at Progressive.com. Today is the Dave Smith Show here at SB Nation Radio.